Welcome to the Phil Steele Plus Tour for October the 13th. Up for you today, I've got 4 official selections, 5 quick hitters, and then 3 FCS games. So here we are on Friday the 13th. Hopefully it'll be like Taylor Swift. It's Taylor Swift's lucky number is 13. Hopefully we'll have a nice lucky winning week. Well, last week we had a guaranteed winning week, and we delivered the guaranteed winners all week long. So let's have another winning week again this week. The tour selections over the last 12 weeks now, 36 and 26. And let's get to your first play, and it is the AGG game of the week. It dropped to 2 and 3 last week. Disappointed. It was the only loss of the actual selections last week. But this week we're going to take a look at Notre Dame against USC at one of the big matchups this weekend. Now, if we take a look just based on the AGG, we see here that and once again, the purpose of the tour is to show you how to use Phil Steele Plus to its fullest. Believe me, I'm going to show you a lot of features today and give you a lot of selections. But let's get to this right now, and we'll start. You just go to the team page, click on it. There's Notre Dame. And here's your AGG. By the way, the team page goes all the way down. I don't know if you know this. We have this red and green all the way down to 2009. You can get red and green on every game. You want individual stats on any game, like in 2020. There you go. You get game-by-game individual stats on every single player. We've got that for this year, updated every single week. You want to know how each player is done against which opponent. It helps in fantasy football as well. That's there for you. But when we look at Notre Dame here, they've got an AGG of 115.4. USC comes in at 110.6. You add in the home field edge. That's saying Notre Dame by 9.8, and they're only laying 2.5. So that right there makes it a play. But I'm going to introduce you to something that now is in effect. We've gone over 4 weeks of the season. We're on 6 weeks are complete. So start using this last 4 weeks down here at the bottom. What the last 4 weeks does is it ignores the first couple of games. It just takes into account how the team is playing current form. So if you just look at the last 4 weeks AGG, Notre Dame's playing at 113.7, USC at 107.4. That's actually saying Notre Dame by 11.1. That classifies as a best bet on our schedule. And the schedule, by the way, is updated. I'll show you a quick thing of that. And how to get to the schedule, you just go right here. I'm going to click back one more. You go to the, this is what's all available on Phil Steele Plus. You get the team pages, which you know about, the average game grade rank we'll talk about, projected conference standings, brand new, I'll show you that. The schedule with forecast is where you get to with this. So once you click there, I've got a complete explanation. I just did it last night of what each category is and how to use it, what the green best bet means for each one. And then when you click here, here are all the games. Now, if the games are passed, like last week, they're color-coded green and red. So if this category had the selection right, it's in green. And if the category had the selection wrong, it's in red. You can see the same thing with the best bets. If the best bets remain in black, I can't put them in green. You wouldn't be able to see them. That means they won. So it said take Iowa minus the 2.5 over Purdue. That was a winner. That was a winner here. Here's your best bet records. And then down below, don't want to show you this week's all these plays, but those are all of this week's plays down below with a lot of best bets going this week. So do use this schedule. It's something brand new this year. You get the plus-minus ratings. You get the AGG ratings, my preseason line, situation, which has been doing well, revenge, which is doing extremely well. Revenge is 20-4 on the year. Situational plays are 30-17. The AGG is 14-9, and we've just started putting back up the last 4 weeks AGG now because it didn't have any effect the first 4 weeks of the season. It was the same as the AGG. Now that is up and available as well. These two are explained as to what they are, last year's line and spread. Basically, if a team was favored by 20 last year and now they're a 20-point dog, that would be a best bet, saying that that's too big of a change. That's what the green is. And this shows you what the records are all year. We'll be updating for you. Kevin does a great job with this file, by the way. All right, so anyway, we've gone to the this is your new schedule I wanted to show you. And the home team in this series, remember, when you come over here, all you have to do is click on the opponent, and all of a sudden the series history pops up. Let's open that up here. And you could see that the home team, what this means out here, if it is if the word is win, that means the home team won the game. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 straight up. If the color is green, that means the home team covered the game. So as you see here, you have a red win. What does that mean? The home team won but did not cover. You have a green loss. That means that the home team lost but covered. So the home team is 8-1 straight up and ATS, and it figures because Notre Dame figures to be a little chilly and rainy. USC, of course, has great weather, so you've got two different weather type of things here. Now I want to show you another thing you can use to analyze a game, and it also is in Notre Dame's favor for this one. When you click on last 10 years straight up in ATS, you know we've got this right here. These top two boxes in your magazine, which are great reference. But I wanted to get them here on because I didn't want to have to flip to the magazine each time if I'm online. But look what we've added, how a team does as a favorite, how a team does as a dog. Single-digit favorite, double-digit favorite, 20 or more. It's all here. How a team does as a conference home favorite, home dog, away favorite, away dog. How about a conference favorite by 3, single-digit, double-digit. Conference dog, the same. How about when you take on a ranked team, home favorite, home dog, away favorite. It's all there for the last 10 years at your fingertips. So you want to know how a team does in a certain situation. For example, USC versus ranked teams as an away dog, 4-10. That is a very poor number for USC. And overall, as an away dog the last 10 years, 5-16 as an away dog. They have not been an away dog this year yet. That's the last 10 years. And then the other thing to point out is strength of wins, pain of losses. This is updated now because it's starting to have an impact. So once again, we'll go to the team page. This is fun as well. And it's something interesting to look at during the course of the season. Strength of wins, pain of losses. I'll explain this one real quick. It does have something to do with this game. The strength of wins, what it does is if you beat a team, you get credit for every win that team has over an FBS team. If they beat an FCS team, you do not get credit for it. If you have a loss, then what happens is you get credit for every loss that team has, regardless FBS or FCS. And then here is your final numbers. Now, you're going to notice something here. Texas is at the top, 16-0. You say, how can they be 16-0? They lost a game. Well, they lost a game to Oklahoma, which hasn't lost a game. So right now they have credit for 0 losses. That's important. And we go to USC. USC is 7-0. Look at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is 9-0 in this chart. They're actually above USC. And once again, you say, Phil, Notre Dame's lost 2 games. How can they have 0? Well, guess who their losses are to? They've been to Louisville, who has not lost a game, and they've been to Ohio State, who has not lost a game. So Notre Dame gets credit for 0 losses so far, but 9 wins. Meanwhile, USC's opponents that they have beaten have combined to win 7 games this year. So Notre Dame's actually got the better record in the overall wins and losses. I love this chart. It really tells you a lot of good things during the year. Akron right now is the worst team. They have not beaten a team that has a win over an FBS team, and their losses have been to teams that have lost 16 games this year. So this is an interesting thing to look at. It'll be updated each and every week. Todd does a great job on that. So add it all up. We got a lot of things going for us here. Play number 1, we're taking Notre Dame minus 2.5 over USC. All right, let's go to our situational game of the week. And this one might be not quite as bad. Remember when I picked Nevada over Kansas as a situational play, and you probably said, get out of town. That's impossible. But Kansas was off a big win, as you recall. And Nevada was back at home in a circle the wagons game, and they actually took them right to the wire. Only lost by 7. That thing was tied in the 4th quarter. Well, this week, my situational game, and it's an ugly team, Pitt. Pitt has been butt ugly this year, 1-4 straight up and against the spread. Meanwhile, Louisville comes in dominating, 5-0, 6-0, big win over Notre Dame. Hey, are these guys going to go unbeaten? That's a good question. And I'll show you another thing we just added this week. We keep adding things to Phil Steele Plus, and I hope you're enjoying all these features, but this one's pretty neat. It is the projected standings right here, projected conference standings. And how this works, if it's bold and it's got the line here, that means the game's happened and it's final. The rest of it is computer forecast. So right now the computer forecast is saying you take a look at the rest of the schedule, and it's got Tulane going 8-0 against SMU going 8-0 this year. That's pretty interesting. I bring that up here because Louisville's projected to go 7-1. The computer does project them to beat Pitt, Duke, Virginia Tech, Virginia, but lose at Miami. So it's got Louisville as one of those teams that can play Florida State. North Carolina, same thing. Only one projected loss. And none of these teams, Florida State, Louisville, and North Carolina, play each other this year. Very fortunate for all three. So these are your projected conference standings. Give you a good idea. Once again, it's actually projecting Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan all the tie. You just go right down the line. I like this because, you might have a team right now that's 2-0 that my computer's projecting is going to be 3-5 at the end of the year in a conference. So take a look at this. I think you'll find it fascinating, but it does project a big year for Louisville. However, they could very well be upset here. It is my situational game of the week. Keep in mind, Pitt is fresh off a bye. Right here. It is an absolute circle the wagons game. Remember last week when Oklahoma State played Kansas State? It was a circle the wagons game for Oklahoma State. They needed a win. They were at home. K-State coming in there ranked, and Oklahoma State pulled the upset. If Pitt's going to do anything this year, they've got to turn their season around. Now, Phil Jurkovec has been moved to tight end, so Christian Valu will get the start here. They've got a good defense. Look at this. This tells you over here how a team is done against their opponents. Notre Dame held Wofford, Cincinnati, West Virginia, and North Carolina, all the season lows. And look at this, held them to 151, 149, 171, 159 below their average. On the season, they're holding teams to 75 yards per game below their season average, number 19, only allowing 302 yards per game. Now, Louisville, if you look at them a little bit closer, they're laying 7.5 on the road here. When they played Georgia Tech, they only beat them by 5. When they played Indiana, they only beat them by 7. And if you go back, and once again, thanks to collegepressbox.com for allowing us to post the box scores on these games, this tells you that. It's got this individual stats, team stats. It gives you defensive starters. I love that. Drive charts. But let's go to the end of the game. I go through the play-by-play of every single game every single week. I couldn't do it without collegepressbox.com. But here's Indiana, down by 7. They have a 1st and goal at the 5. 4th and goal at the 1. Henderson runs up the middle and he stops. So they almost knocked off Louisville. And they also only beat NC State by 3 on the road. And that was NC State with Brennan Armstrong at quarterback when they were struggling. So it's a team that's got a lot of close wins. Pitt is in an absolute must-win situation. And here's something I find fascinating. We go to you can flip to the magazine and check this out. But we actually go all the way back to 1976. Now, I don't have anything to go back to 76 on. But you can go back and get the spread on any game since 1976. You can get halftime since 2004. You can get over-under since 2003. If the game is in bold, that means the team won the game. If this W and L down here, that means the team won or lost against the spread. And that's what we're going to look at here. Last year, Louisville won at home, won at home, won at home. They lost on the road, won at home, lost on the road. So the road team, their final 6 games of the year, was 0-6 against the spread. Now we can go to the Phil Steele Plus. And once again, another great feature that we have online for you is the team logs. And we even have this for the FCS. I'll get into that in a minute. But go to your college logs this year, and you can see if a team has won or lost against the spread. That's what this L and W means. So they were away from home. This was technically, the game was in Atlanta. This was a Georgia Tech home game. Visitor lost. Home team won. Indiana, the game was in Indianapolis, basically an Indiana home game. Visitor lost. Home team won. Visitor lost. Home team won. Their last 12 games, the visitor has gone 0-12 against the spread. The home team's 12-0. And so you've got Pitt has held their foes to season lows in 4 of the games. You've got Pitt is 3-0. If we take a look at this series, one thing I want to point out, I like to do this. I like to see how teams do off of revenge. They lost to Louisville here, and then the next year they covered. And what this means, if the game is in green, that means the team won the game. If this team is in green, that means they covered. So you don't have to try to figure out plus 9.5, 17-24. It's right there. This means they covered the game if it's in green. So Pitt lost the game, they covered. Pitt lost the game, they covered. Pitt lost the game, they covered. They're 3-0 the last 3 times they lost to Louisville against the spread. So they're playing with legitimate revenge. The home team, by the way, and if you take a look at this last 26 years matchups, once again, over here's the home team. The home team is 3-0 straight up the last 3 years. So the home team is 3-0. Pitt's 3-0 with revenge. The visitor in Louisville games has lost 12 in a row. Pitt is off a bye, has this game circled. Louisville's off a massive game where they celebrated. There was a huge game at home against Notre Dame. Now they're having to travel, and they haven't been overall dominant this year. Your situational game of the week, we are going to take Pitt plus 7.5 over Louisville. Now, last week, by the way, and I wanted to give you a little special bonus this week. Last week, I guaranteed the plays, right? They won. We delivered on the guarantee. Now, you guys all got that code guarantee, and you're probably like, well, I can't use the code guarantee this week. Oh, you're right. I'm not giving away my Inside the Press box for free. I've got 54 write-ups in there. I put a lot of effort into it. You get a complete write-up on every game. You get my computer forecast, my write-up. You get tons of stats. It's all in there. But what I am going to do for you guys, I want to guarantee my Inside the Press box for you this week. So I've got 5 best bets in Inside the Press box. I give you computer best bets. I give you my best bets. I give you selections on every game. But my 5 games I've isolated this week is best bets on Inside the Press box. I will guarantee them for you if you buy the single issue. All you have to do is you go to the store here at philsteele.com. We'll just click on the store. Usually takes a second or two. Go to Inside Press Box College Edition. Now it's $20. I will give that to you for $10 this week. Use the code word guarantee. When you type in guarantee, you get this week's issue, a $20 value with all 54 games written up, all my best bets, all my computer's best bets, everything. It's normally $20, just $10 this week, but it comes with a guarantee just for you guys. If you purchase it this week at the discounted price, I've got 5 plays up there. I got to have a winning week for you on those 5 plays, or guess what? I give you next week's College Press Box a $20 value free. So I got a lot riding on the line here. I got another $20 issue on the line. I'm discounting this week's issue. You get the guarantee. Just go to philsteele.com. Grab the issue this week. Guaranteed to win for you. 5 best bets from me. Computer best bets are on there. They're not included in the package, but they could very well go 4-0 this week. But you get my 5 best bets guaranteed for a half price. So I know you won with the guarantee last week. I thought you might want to win with another guarantee this week. All right, let's go to my matchup game of the week. And once again, let's go to our team page and go to our team page over here. And we're going to take a look at Wyoming against Air Force. And the one thing I have found following this is that since Craig Bohl has taken over Wyoming in 2014, he knows how to stop the option. And we'll go over here, click on Air Force. I want you to look at Air Force's numbers. 171, 211, 162, 203, 149, 151. That's when Bohl took over. We've seen 4 outright upsets by Wyoming. Now, once again, over here, if it says upset and it's in green, that means Wyoming pulled the upset. If it was upset and in red, like here, that means Air Force pulled the upset. This gives you the over-under on every game, so you can see this one tends to go under, which figures because Wyoming knows how to stop the option. And I want to show you over here, this is important. And you can go back and, as I mentioned, look at past years. Let's see how Wyoming has done. Now, what this is how a team does on the year. Now, I already showed you Pitt's got 4 number ones this year. Well, when we look at the Wyoming defense against Air Force, they had the second best performance against Air Force all year, holding to 136 yards below their season average last year. How'd they do the previous year? They played Air Force. Here it is. They held them. There was the third best performance all year. They held them to 111 yards below their season average. How'd they do the previous year? They didn't play in 2020. So we go back to 2019. They had the best performance all year, holding Air Force to 305 yards, a season low, and 127 yards per game below their season average. That confirms my thought process that Craig Bohl knows how to stop the option. So we got that going for us. You got the fact that they've held Air Force under 211 yards rushing 6 of the last 8 games. 4 of them have been upset wins. Air Force on the year always averages over 300 yards per game rushing. 6 of the last 8, they've held them to 211 or below. Wyoming has done well in this series. Let's go take a look at just the overall series. Even before Craig Bohl, they did well in the series. Once again, you just click here on Air Force. And we could see that Wyoming spread-wise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 2 the last 13 games against the spread. Now let's take a look at strength of schedule. You can tell they've played Texas, Texas Tech, App State, Fresno State. These guys have only played Robert Morris, Sam Houston State, Utah State, San Jose, and San Diego State. So they've hardly played anybody. If you want to get the strength of schedule updated, that is updated. We've got all the best bets up and available on that schedule file that I showed you. When you go here, they are color-coded green and yellow. If it's under 40, it is yellow. If it's over 40, it is green. And this is a best bet this week. But you can go right here to the schedule with power rating forecasts. Nope, wrong one. You can go right here to strength of schedule. Here is strength of schedule. And we can look for Wyoming is number 46. And Air Force is number 132. So you've got a massive strength of schedule edge here. 46 against 142. Then we got another feature going for us here on Wyoming this week. Go to the team page, go to Wyoming. And once again, you could do this on Thursday night, Friday night. You can do it on Wednesday night when you're going through your games this week. You have all this information at your fingertips with Phil Steele Plus. But here's Wyoming, and we're going to take a look at how they there's a look. Oh, Craig Bohl is a double-digit conference dog. Conference dog, double-digit. And take away this 0-2. He wasn't there. Where's 2014? That was his first year. So take away that 0-2. Craig Bohl is 12-7 as a double-digit conference dog. Now let's take a look at Air Force. Let's go to Air Force as a double-digit conference favorite. Double-digit conference favorite, 10-14. So you have a poor conference double-digit favorite versus a very good conference double-digit dog. And then let's go back and remember this. While Wyoming is on the road, when they played Texas, well, they lost to Texas, a very good Texas team, 31-10. That game in the fourth quarter was 10-10. They were tied with the Texas Longhorns in the fourth quarter. Texas would put together 3 TDs in the fourth quarter, but they're not playing Texas here. They're playing Air Force. So we got a lot of things in our favor. Our matchup game of the week, we're going to take Wyoming plus 11.5 over Air Force. Got another situational game for you this week, guys. I have a situational game number 2. And on this one, remember, we always put the home team on the right. At least I do. You can do whatever you want, but I put the home team on the right, visitor on the left. Helps me get things in line in my mind for the game. And we're going to slide this over a little bit here so we can see. There we go, and there we go. All right, so we have got LSU on the right. And what I mean by a situational game, look what LSU just did. Arkansas by 3, close game. At Ole Miss, they lost, and that game was 55-49, a barn burner. Last week against Missouri, and I love when I can show you a misleading final. Now, I do a show each week in Louisiana, and I picked LSU last week, but didn't deserve to win it. I mean, LSU never led against the spread until here. They got a 17-yard interception return with 34 seconds left to win by 10. It's a game they did not deserve to cover last week, but they did. You would know that if you flipped through the box scores, went through the play-by-play, or watched the game like I did. You would know that there was a very fortunate cover for LSU last week. So you got a team off a fortunate cover, just played 3 really, really tough games, and now they're playing another one in a row. They have not had a bye all season. They have played 7 straight weeks. Meanwhile, Auburn is fresh off a bye. And in their last game, I love what they did against Georgia. And you go back to this game here. We'll take a look at the individual player stats. And we're going to take a look at Peyton Thorne. Hardly ran the ball in positive. These are mostly sacks against Texas A&M. Remember, sacks are included in quarterback rushes, but they hardly ran the quarterback at all in this game. They started to run the quarterback more against Georgia, and I think you'll see them run the quarterback more here. Both Peyton Thorne and Ashford will run here. So I think you're going to see Auburn's offense play much better now that they're doing that. Fresh off a bye, 7th straight game, 3 close losses, and a misleading final. How about this? Auburn against LSU. Let's see who's been covering this series. Auburn has covered the last 4 series. It's got it right here, green. That means that they've covered. They're 2-2 straight up. Look over here, 5 straight unders. You might want to pay attention to that as well. But they've covered 4 in a row, and in the last 7 years, this series has been a wild one. We've had 5 upsets the last 7 years. So it's an upset-based series. Underdog does well. Auburn does well. And how about last year's game? Auburn lost that game. But look at this. Auburn against LSU 2022, 438 yards to 270. couple of freaky plays went against them. They led the thing 17-0. And once again, you could go back and take a look at last year's box score. It's up there. You can see Auburn led this thing 17-0, really should have won the game. So Auburn outplayed them last year, fresh off a bye, team off a seventh game, underdog does well, Auburn does well. They only lost to Georgia. And Hugh Freeze, you can look it up, flip to your magazine page, Auburn, coach's record, Hugh Freeze, underdog. Are you there? Freeze, 29-12 as a dog. And they have covered six of the last 7 in this series have been decided by single digits. In fact, 13 of the last 19 have been decided by single digits. I could go back and show you. I don't want to take up all your time. You know where to find it. Auburn is a double-digit dog. So we're taking Auburn plus 11.5 as your second situational game of the week. Okay, I showed you the projected standings. I showed you the schedule with the best bets. I showed you the strength of wins and losses. One thing I also want to show you, it's on my Twitter page, and it's something you should probably check out each week. Try to find that. Let's see how. Nope, not there. Let's get there. Here we go. Phil Steele. There we go. Come on. I want to go to my Twitter page. Go to home page here. A little slow this morning. There we go. And right here, the Vegas power ratings. Check these out each week. And Vegas does not adjust their power ratings like the AP does. The AP would say, you know what? Oklahoma beat Texas last week. You must rank Oklahoma above Texas. But guess what? These are the Vegas ratings. I've been doing these for a long time. And if Texas played Oklahoma this week, Texas would be favored by 3. Don't you want to know what Vegas thinks of these games? Here are the Vegas power ratings. You're looking at next week's games maybe, trying to figure out the spread? Use these things. They will tell you what the spread's going to be next week. Vegas doesn't adjust. They don't have any outside pressure. Hey, this team beat that team. We must rank them ahead of them. They just do it on, hey, if these two played, who would be favored? Texas would be favored over Oklahoma next week. That's available right on philsteele.com. And I also post it on Twitter each and every week. All right, let's get to your quick hitters for this week. And the first quick hitter we're going to go with, we're going to take a look at South Carolina against Florida. We're going to put Florida on the left. We're going to put South Carolina on the right. It's a big game for both teams. But it is one where the home field probably tends to be a big-time thing. South Carolina is actually 12-4 straight up at home. So far this year, they're 2-0 at home. They're 0-3 on the road. If we look here, how have they done at home? 5-2, 5-2. So you got 10-4, and he's 2-4 this year. 12-4 straight up at home for Coach Beamer. How does Napier do on the road? Well, this year they've lost on the road. And if you want to check what they did last year on the road, they were 1-3 straight up on the road, and 1-5 away from home. Basically, they lost their 2 neutral games. So they are 1-7 away from home. South Carolina's 12-4 straight up. South Carolina is off of bye week. They're fresh. They've got the big home edge. Florida, meanwhile, is playing a 7th straight week. Florida delivered for me last week with that win over Vanderbilt. Thank you very much. Nice win there. And the schedule strength, I showed you where to look up the schedule strength. You can go look that up. But the schedule strength is actually South Carolina's taken on the toughest schedule so far. Florida's taken on the number 84 schedule. So you got schedule strength, you got a situational edge, you got a great home team against a poor road team. Quick hitter, South Carolina, -2. All right, let's go to Kansas State against Texas Tech. These are quick hitters. I don't have 5 things to show you on each game, but I got a couple really interesting things. Texas Tech's at home. You know, I normally like to play Texas Tech at home, but one team that's had their number is Kansas State. This is sort of like the Wyoming Air Force thing. If you look at Kansas State, their defense is geared to stop the offense that Texas Tech runs, that pass offense. And if you look at Kansas State, how they've done against Texas Tech, they have actually won the last 7, covered the last 6. They do extremely well in this series. I bet you if I went back and looked at how they did, I didn't look at this last night. Oh, they were only number 6 there. Let's see what they did here against Texas Tech. Number 2, held them to 107 below their season average. They're very good against the air raid offense. So you've got a Kansas State team that matches up well, has covered 6 in a row in this series. And in fact, if you go back in the series even further, I believe they're 10-2 straight up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, actually, 11-1 straight up. 10-2 against the spread in the series. They match up well. And last year, or the last 4 weeks AGG on this one, right here, they're playing to 109 level. They're playing to 101 level. Texas Tech is favored. The last 4 weeks AGG says Kansas State should be favored. We're going to take Kansas State plus 1.5. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to point out, Coach Kleiman off a loss. I can go back and show you, but 6-1 against the spread off a loss. So here he lost, covered this year, and we'd have to go back and look at our last 40 years. Come back down here, look for the non-bold. There's a loss, there's a cover. Here's a loss, there's a cover. There's a loss, there's a cover. Once again, if it's not bold, that means they lost the game straight up. 6-1 against the spread, off a loss. So you got solid off a loss, match up well. We're going to go with Kansas State plus 1.5 over Texas Tech. Everybody's want to be watching Oregon and Washington, and you have to be. The winner of this game is an automatic contender. Husky Stadium is an extremely tough place to play. But here's the reason I like Oregon in this one. First of all, last week, I'm going to be honest with you. Last week, my last 4 weeks AGG, and I'm going to show you once again. This is available every single week. You can see it right here on the pages, but to make it easy, just go to my average game grade rank. Last week, Oklahoma was number 1, and I didn't want to show that to you because I like Texas in the game. Well, guess what? Oklahoma won the game and covered and beat Texas on that touchdown at the end. So I will show it to you this week. Oregon is number 1. Now, Washington's number 3. They're right there. But Oregon is number 1. We'll see if the number 1 AGG team can actually win again this week. So that's one thing Oregon's got going in its favor. And this is updated. And, you could look here and know where they're ranked. But here it sort of gives you a nice idea how the teams are ranked for the season. And once again, the AGG, well, this time the AGG's got Oklahoma. And you might say, how did Oklahoma drop from 1 to 2? Just take a quick look at the game in this. It takes into account not just the score of the game, but also the yardage. They were actually outgained 527 to 486 in the game. So they were minus 41 yards in the game. They benefited from plus 3 turnovers, Oklahoma did, and won the game. Now let's get back to this Washington-Oregon game. I'd just like to show you all the fine features that are on Phil Steele Plus so you can use them when you're doing this at home. You've got Oregon over here. Oregon is number 1 in my AGG. And then you take a look at the series history. This is a series dominated by Oregon. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-3 straight up, 15-3 against the spread. Once again, you don't have to do math. You don't have to look at the scores. Green and red tells you everything. I love the green and red system. The Ducks are able to run the ball on Washington. And then I look at the overall teams. Oregon does have a special teams advantage here, which is nice. Oregon also, when you look at this game, both teams have explosive offenses, no doubt about that, 569, 558. But Oregon's got the much better defense. They're allowing 256 yards per game. Washington giving up 365. So you've got the better defense. You've got an Oregon team that dominates the series. They're number 1 in the AGG. Quick hitter, Oregon plus 3 over Washington. Let's call for the outright upset. Let's go to a strength of schedule play here, and we're going to take San Diego State against Hawaii. And San Diego State has been woeful, haven't they? They had high expectations coming into the year. They come in with just 1 win on the season, or 2 wins on the season. They have not been doing well. But let's peer in this one a little bit closer. While Hawaii's been playing Vanderbilt, Stanford, Albany, New Mexico State, UNLV, San Diego State played Ohio, the best team in the MAC. We'll talk about Ohio in a minute. They played UCLA, one of the top teams in the Pac-12. They played Oregon State, one of the top teams in the Pac-12. They played Boise State, the top team in the Mountain West. They played Air Force, the second best team, maybe the best team in the Mountain West. They played 5 really, really good teams. In fact, San Diego State has a 92 schedule edge. They were best bet in the schedule on that schedule thing that I have up there. Remember here, you're going to see a green. It's going to be on San Diego State over Hawaii because they have a large schedule edge. But when you get a team that's played those type of opponents and now takes a step down, they can play to their true form. I like the fact that Jalen Madden starting to get a little bit better. He's leading rusher, leading passer. This is a team that's going to play much better. They need a win. They cannot afford a loss here in Hawaii. I'm going to use it as a quick hitter, a strength of schedule play. San Diego State -6 over Hawaii after playing 5 really, really good teams. Look for them to have a big game against Hawaii. And your final quick hitter before we get to Chris's FCS plays, which of course have been doing extremely well, we're going to look at Ohio U against Northern Illinois. We are going to put Northern Illinois on the right because they're at home. We're going to put Ohio on the left because they're on the road. Now, last week, Ohio, that number dropped on the game to 24 and got the cover. And as it was, Kent State got a late score. It was actually 42-10. Kent got that late score to make it 25 and get it closer to the score, but that was a garbage time score. I talked to you last week about Ohio's defense. Remember how I said in the first 6 games last year, Ohio allowed 561, and I wrote about that in the magazine. The final 7 games, 331. This year, all green, giving up 234 yards per game. They have covered 9 straight MAC games. And once again, we can go right here, click on Phil Steele Plus. We can go to the logs, click on logs, college logs, Ohio. And when you go to Ohio, you see they covered against Kent, covered against Bowling Green this year. That's 2. Open up your magazine. You'll see they covered the last 7 last year against MAC teams. So they've covered 9 in a row. Let's go back to team pages. Let's go back to Ohio. You got a team that just covers against the MAC. Close last week, but covered nonetheless. Now you look at Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois has an amazing record. They used to be one of the better home teams out there. But right now, they are struggling against the spread at home. Here last year, they were 0-6. We can go back further on this. Let's take a look at the last 40 years, see if that went back any further. 0-6. Come back here at home, 0-7. At home, they won. So you got 7 straight heading into the year. Did not cover against Southern Illinois. That's 8 straight. Did not cover against Tulsa. That's 9 straight. So Ohio's won 9 straight MAC games. Northern Illinois has not covered 9 straight home games. Ohio's got a hell of a defense. Hell of a defense. This should be a lower scoring game. Northern Illinois's got a decent defense over here as well. But we're going to take Ohio -5.5 over Northern Illinois. This is a fun part for me because I don't cover the FCS. I don't watch every FCS game like I do every FBS game. I don't go through the play-by-play of every FCS game. Chris does a lot of that, though. I love that. But I like learning about the teams when I do this on the tour because all you have to do is click on the 2 teams and all of a sudden you become an instant expert on each of them. Well, we got North Carolina A&T. Now, we went against them last week. Enjoyed that very much. Villanova crushed them 37-14. And we are going to they're taking on Delaware this week, another good team. And Delaware is 4-1 this year. I like this team that Delaware's got going on, playing good football, playing with a good AGG. They're number 24 in the country. NCAA is not. Now, Chris broke down the Villanova game last week. He said in the second half, Villanova actually led that thing and had a 482 to 62-yard edge. So a lot of garbage yards late in the game here for North Carolina A&T. I explained last week. Look at this. They cannot throw the football. 43%, allowing 16 sacks, and they haven't even topped 100 yards in a game. They're taking on a very good Delaware team, one that just beat Duquesne by a good margin, beat Stony Brook by a good margin. And then here's the thing that tops it off as well. Let me see what else Chris has got to say here. Let's just go right to it. Let's go to the logs. And once again, if we go here, this is nice because I'm sure you're not writing down all the FCS logs at home, right? We got them covered. I've been doing this for the last 7 years. I've been writing down the logs on every FCS game. So let's go to logs. Let's go to FCS ATS logs. Let's go to Delaware. 4-1 against the spread. The only game they didn't cover is against Penn State, but against FCS teams, 4-0 this year. Let's go to NCAA. NCAA is here. 0-5 against the spread this year. They were actually favored over Norfolk, lost outright. They were favored over NC Central, lost outright. So we're going to take Delaware minus the 18.5. And when you go back and look at this one a little bit closer, one thing I wanted to point out was the AGG on the game. And the AGG has got Delaware by 23.1. So, and that's, you take out, you got 23.1. If you add this in, add in the home edge, you got them by 23.1. So add it all up, we're going to take Delaware minus 18.5 over North Carolina A&T. I talked about number 1 in the AGG, right? One team that has really impressed me this year, and I've actually watched some Idaho games. Why? Because they played FBS teams. Watched the Nevada game. They crushed them. They crushed Nevada on the road. The Cal game, they led that thing a good portion. They lost 31-17, but they actually outgained Cal. This is a really good Idaho team. Like them a lot. And they are playing a ranked team in Montana. Montana, I believe, comes in number 9 or number 10 in the rankings. But here's the difference. While Idaho's been playing some really good teams, I just talked about Nevada. I talked about California. They also played Montana, played a good game. UC Davis. They beat Cal Poly 42-14. Eastern Washington by 6 on the road. That's on the red turf. That's a really good win. And look at this. They've had 5 games away from home. They play in the Kibbe Dome, a really unique field, short end zones. You see how they got a wall right here, right by the end zone. It's a really unique field. And now they get to play at home for just the second time all year. So I like that. And then if you look over here, and I can't go back and show you each of these teams, but this is a very light schedule. So they played a much tougher schedule. They're number 1 in my AGG this year, number 1 in the country, 95.3 among the FCS teams. And you look at Montana, they're ranked number 10 in the country, but my AGG actually only has them at number 67. And even if you eliminate this 22.7, it still comes out with Idaho by 23.5 in this game. They're only laying 8.5. Montana's up here not playing anybody and not being very impressive. Wins by 8, 8, 7, 15. Idaho has been very impressive. We're going to lay the points. Even though we're taking on the number 10 ranked team, I'm saying they're not the number 10 ranked team. I think Idaho might be the number 1 team. Take Idaho minus 8.5 over Montana. And we go to the Ivy. This is Chris's specialty. He writes the Ivy forecasts every year. He studies the Ivy every single week. And he's got an Ivy League play. I'd like to have an Ivy League play of the week out of Chris. Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can convince him to do that. We got Princeton playing Brown. Brown is at home this week. And let's put Brown over here on the right. Brown is a 7-point home dog to Princeton. And let's take a look at it. Now, Princeton comes into this 2-2. Brown comes into this 2-2. Hey, they both played Bryant this year. Brown beat Bryant 29-25. And they lost to Bryant 16-13. That's interesting. Let's see what he's got here. Brown's offense is putting up 79 yards per game, more than their opponents allow. So they played some good defenses. And they're putting up the yards, 79 yards, 445 yards per game. This team can move the football. Now, I'll give you this. Princeton's got a good D. Look at this, 212 yards per game. But offensively, we've got a pretty good edge here. 445, 79 yards above a season average. Meanwhile, when you look at the offense for Princeton, they're 41 yards below a season average, and they are only averaging 315 yards per game. Jake Wilcox for Brown has an 8-2 ratio this year. You got to like that. He's a veteran. You've seen the improvement out of him. He went from 64 to 66. He's got a better ratio this year. Last year, Princeton was actually much more experienced than they are this year, and they did win the game 35-19 at home. But look at this. Brown actually outgained them last year, had a 29-19 first down edge. Now, Brown's more improved than Princeton is, Chris would know, and they actually they had the better stats last year, the better first downs. They get this game at home with the better offense. The AGG actually has Brown at 68.1, has Princeton at 63.1. So that says Brown by a touchdown, and they're getting a touchdown. Let's go with it. Let's go with our Ivy League game of the week and take Brown +7 over Princeton. I do want to remind you that you can go right now to philsteele.com and get a guaranteed winning week on my Inside the Press Box. Plus, you get a discount, half off Inside the Press Box, just for you guys. Just for you guys that take the time to watch the Phil Steele Plus tour. Remember, sign up for Phil Steele Plus for $99. We're going to have some discounts on Phil Steele or on Inside the Press Box. When you sign up for Inside the Press Box, you get Phil Steele Plus for free. So I'll throw a discount in their thing for next week. After we win for you, I'll send you a thing letting you get Inside the Press Box for the rest of the year at a discounted price, and you get Phil Steele Plus for free. So try it out this week. Get that gear. You just type in code guarantee. You get it for $10. You get a guaranteed winning week. We delivered on the guarantee here on the tour last week. We're going to deliver with the guaranteed win on Inside the Press Box this week. Thanks for taking the tour with me. Have yourself a great weekend, and I'll be back with you next week with your next Phil Steele Plus tour.